Hi everyone. Let me welcome you to this session 2 of our first module for our AI 900 class. Um, I remember this is where we stopped in our first session of the first module. So welcome to the second session of the first module. And if you go over the first module again, you remember that we treated some common things that we spoke about. We look at the course content as a whole, where we told you we are going to be exploring fundamental artificial intelligence, exploring fundamental of machine learning, fundamental of computer vision, and that of natural language and processing. And then where we explain to you what artificial intelligence was, and then how it empowers infrastructures, creates a lot of stuff, and then also helping us to detect anomalies and the different workload within artificial intelligence. For example, your machine learning, your anomaly detections, your computer visions, and natural language processing, knowledge mining. We also look at the services within Azure platform that provided all these. For example, your cognitive services, your Azure machine learning, your boot service and cognitive search. We explained that. So we ended this class here where we told you that the lab is a hands-on lab where we will take you through I mean, as a first user for, assuming you are just using Azure platform for the first time, you can take advantage of the Azure platform to start your AI journey. Okay, so what you will need to do was to just come to this place and then go directly into the link. And going into the link, it gives you this where you explore cognitive services. And here, exploring cognitive services, I need to let you understand that this is basically for you to just get to know how the fundamental AI works. It is not something deep. Okay, there's nothing deep here. So this is these are some of the services within Azure platforms. So this particular lab helps you to get to know those services and how they are run or how they are deployed using Azure platform. Okay, so basically what you're going to be looking at is a cognitive service that is called anomaly detector. Okay, so what does an anomaly detector does? It is used to analyze data value over time, and also used to detect any unusual values that might indicate a problem or indicate an issue that will cause you to go for a further investigation or for an escalation. Okay, so let's say, for example, you are working as an engineer in a facility, well-controlled facility where the temperature of the facility or some certain things within this facility is being monitored. So, which means this anomaly detector can be deployed using within that facility to be giving you the temperature value per seconds, and this is logged or perhaps recorded. So this can also be analyzed later, and then you can begin to flag if there's any issue or significant rise or low within the temperature range. So basically, to do this, just go to your Azure portal. So for me, my own Azure portal is opened. So from your Azure portal, search for anomaly detector. So from your anomaly detector, create this. Okay. Okay, so let me just show you. So once you sign into your Azure portal and you have your subscription, just go to create a resources. Okay, and just from here type anomaly. So you don't need to anomaly detector. So Um, normal. Just try it again. Yeah, can you see? You have an anomaly detector here. Okay, so from anomaly detector, just go to create. So this is very important. Your subscription, you must provide your subscription. So whatever your subscription you have, just look for your subscription. And then, of course, if this is your first time in Azure, you need to create a resource group. So your resource group is like a logical container where all your workload, everything you are working on, is like an apartment where you put stuffs in. Okay, so it doesn't affect anything really, but just a logical boundary of your work. All right, so you can create a new, basically, if let's say, hey, hi, 900 training. Okay, it doesn't like space, so I can do underscore. Okay, so okay, so get your region, give it a name. Let's say you want to work on anomaly. Anomaly, that should give you, it's already in use. Pick a name. Anomaly 999. Okay, so that is available. So price tag is free. Just pick free. So if you go back to all these instructions, this is what I've just done. So review and create. So you don't need to go longer than that. Review and create the resources. We'll wait for deployment to complete and then go to deploy resources. So view the key and endpoint. See, the key and endpoint are very, very important when it comes to AI, because we're going to be using these to do a whole lot of stuff within Azure portal. So because your endpoint and your key helps you to work with other applications that is outside, even within Azure portal and then outside also for security purposes and ease of connectivity. So view the key and endpoint page for your anomaly detector resources. Then you will need this key and endpoint to connect from the client application. Can you see? It says you will need this endpoint and this key to connect from a client application. So that's the reason why that is there. Okay, so let's carry out that. So you just don't worry about networking, identity tags. You don't need to touch anything. You don't need to touch anything. You don't need to touch anything. Just go to review and create. So just let's wait a minute while this is being created. Okay, so on an Azure platform, virtually every resources that has been created has to go through some validation. Okay, the validation includes some policies that must have been set within the platform for the organization that owns the Azure platform. Okay, and whatever, and every other information that has to go through. Okay, or part of the validation will be the SKU of the SKU of the resources you are trying to create. Is it available? The resources, the region is also available in that region and all of those. So you go through all those validation. Then once it's passed, you will just go ahead and create. If it failed, it will take you back to basis, take you back to somewhere here or anywhere the issue is, and then so that you can. So let's just go ahead and create. So we go ahead and create. So it's initializing deployment. So at the same time, it has to first of all create my resource group and then put the anomaly detector, that resource called anomaly detector, inside that resource group. Okay. So deployment. As you can see, deployment is in progress. Okay, so so while that is going on, let's go back to this and see some of the things we need to do. So here we need to run Cloud Shell. So what's your Cloud Shell? Of course, your Cloud Shell can sometimes be taken to be your, of course, if you're familiar with your CMD, that's your this particular environment. I can plan with particular environment. For example, I can do IP config slash or of course is provide. So this is a terminal that speaks directly into this machine. Okay. I can also do it using PowerShell too. Let me just do say something like PowerShell. I can do PowerShell. So I'm just showing you this why the deployment is ongoing. So let's say window PowerShell. Okay, window PowerShell. So it's basically the same thing. They are management tools for your machine. Of course, I'm showing you these ones on my own physical machine. Okay. Okay, so this PowerShell is coming up. Okay, so if I say IP config, that's all. Of course, as you can see, it returned the same thing that was returned from the CMD. As you can see, the same thing, name of the computer. So now the idea is this: I can do a lot of stuffs within this physical machine using this CMD or using this PowerShell. Okay, so but on the Azure portal, Microsoft has made this so beautiful that it's easier for you to also use the Azure portal. That is, use this portal to work on it, or perhaps come to this place. Don't forget this place. So this is where you have your PowerShell, where you have your PowerShell and then your bash scripting. Okay, so of course we are still under instruction. So the instruction says that we should review and create resources. Now the resources have been created, has been completely deployed. Now we say we should view key and endpoint page on your anomaly detector resource. So you will need this later. Okay. So let's go back to Azure portal. And then before we come to this one, let's go to resource. So our anomaly 9999 has been deployed. Okay. So now that it has been deployed inside a particular resource group called AI 900, the pricing tier is free. Of course, you don't want to incur much debt because just a training. Okay. And then look at this endpoint address. So it means that one can communicate to this anomaly detector over the internet. As you can see, it goes through a secure channel. So it's like a website on its own, like a URL where you can communicate directly to this. So as you see the beauty of that. So now it becomes an endpoint. Okay, so now if I come to this resource management, it's a key and endpoint. So now I'm opening the key and endpoint. And don't forget your key and endpoints is used to communicate to client applications. So now here within this place, I can show you my key. Okay, so it's like there's key one, there's key two. It's just like a spare key. So you can use any of these key. Let me hide it. Okay. Then the endpoints. Don't forget I've shown you the endpoint the other time. So sometimes it's easier to copy them out and so from there we move to this and it says let's run a cloud shell. So to test capability of anomaly detector services. So don't forget we are working on detector services, the capability, that is the capacity of this anomaly detector service. If we use a simple command line applications. So there's a simple command line application that runs within that cloud shells on Azure. Okay, so it's just showing us what I did earlier. I should come here, open the cloud shell. Okay, so once we open the cloud shell, of course, remember we saw this. It's asking us to, first time you open the cloud shell, you'll be prompted to choose the type of shell you want. Is it bash shell or PowerShell? We actually want PowerShell shell. Okay, if there's anything like that. All right. So, but we are asked to select PowerShell. So if you see this option, just keep. All right. So if you are prompted to create storage, of course, if you have been using your Azure portal and if you just need to skip all this because there's no need to be doing this 2 times. Okay, so if you are prompted to create a storage for your cloud shell, ensure your subscription is specified and select create storage. All right, so let's go there. So now I choose PowerShell, right? Okay. Now it's asking me to create a storage, So let's choose a subscription. Just choose this subscription. And then I say create a storage. Okay, so why is it creating this storage? So every activities that is carried out within this shell is dumped in that particular storage account. That it's like it's easy for tracking for you to know. Okay, these are some of the things I've done. To automatically create and put it there for you. Okay, so why the storage is being created? Let's go back. So now don't forget. So say make sure the type of your shell indicated at the top left of the cloud shells pane is partial. So all they want is they want us to work with partial. Now, like I said, this is bash. So they are saying that you should change this to partial. So if it is bash, switch to partial because we really want to work with partial. So if you discover, if you look at it, your bash has a black surface and your partial have a black background and your partial has a blue background, just like the one I showed you on our physical machine. So now let's come back to our Azure. And the storage has been created automatically. We are in PowerShell, not in Bash. So because we already have what we call PowerShell, and then the background is, so it's welcoming me home and saying, "You look at it also, welcome. What do you want me to do?" So for example, I can run the same thing I ran the other time, your IP config, IP config hall. Okay, there's an error there. IP config dash hall. Okay. Okay, so I might not be able to run this because it's not. Let me try. Okay. Okay, but I can type hosts. Let's see. Let me log out. Start again. Okay, host any. Okay, so there's a lot you can do, but basically let's just follow the instruction. The instruction says we should be in PowerShell. So already we're in PowerShell. So what's this one saying? It says configure and run a client application. Okay, so a client application is like an app already existing somewhere. Of course, you now want to connect that application to the Azure portal. Of course, what resources are you connecting to on Azure portal? Your anomaly detector, remember. So it's like your anomaly detector in one hand and then that client application in another hand. So how are you going to connect them together? Remember your key and endpoint. So that's what you're going to use so that your anomaly detector can monitor what is going on that client application. You get the idea? That's exactly what you want to do. Just a rough idea of what. So now that you have a cloud shell environment, you can run a simple application that uses anomaly detector service to analyze data. So that client application is generating some sort of data, right? So in the command shell, enter the following command to download the sample application and save it to a folder called AI 900. So like I said, it's a client application, and then this particular application is hosted somewhere in GitHub. Okay, so just like your GitHub is like your, for example, you want to download an app, you go to iOS store or what's that Google Play, that kind of a thing. But for software developers, that are Microsoft inclined, we use GitHub. So when you develop something, you just put it there so people can have access to it. So for this particular, so this is the command you use git clone this because it's an exercise for AI 900. So it's easier for us to just copy. So what do? You copy. So now once you copy, you go back to your PowerShell. Remember your PowerShell. Okay, so let me just close and open again so that it's easier. So you can drag this up so that you can see everything you are doing. Okay, so now we are here. You're here. So what do I do? You right click on your mouse or on your mouse pad and then paste. You cannot paste directly to PowerShell on Azure. You can't paste directly. So just right click and then you can paste or paste as a plain text. That would be two. You should, let me go back again. Let me copy. Are you sure this is copied? Let me right click and copy. Go back again, right click and paste as plain text, as you can see. So git clone. So you're telling Git to clone this particular application for you and download it on Azure. You press enter. So cloning has started, and then it began to remotely connect into Git, and then begin to do counting all the objects, and then resolve data if it's 100% done. So that is done, as you can see. Okay, so now you've downloaded the client application. Is somewhere there. So now if you already used this command before, don't worry about that. So now the files are downloaded to a folder named AI 900. So how do I see the file that was downloaded? So now we can see all the files in your Cloud Shell storage and work with them. Just type code space dot. So here, what you do, you type code space dot. So it opens like a prompt that can help you to go into a folder, kind of a folder within the cloud machine. Okay, so as you can see, you have .azure, .azure.cache, .local. So you can see this folder called AI. So click here and drop it down. So you can see .git, GitHub, VS Code, data, instruction, build.yml, config.yml, analyze. So if you scroll down a little, you see a lot of. So you look at this analyze image dot PS1. Your PS means partial. So this script is saved, is a partial script. it has been saved in PowerShell. So analyze text too in PowerShell, classify image PowerShell, detect anomaly PowerShell, detect. So don't be surprised. This is where we're going to be using for all this training. Okay. Let's go back to our instruction. Our instruction says, notice how this opens up an editor like the one in the image below. Of course, as you can see that we have this kind of editor now. So in the file pane on the left, expand AI 900, which we did, then select detect anomaly dot PowerShell 1, PS1, of course. That particular code is in PowerShell script. So switch back to detect anomaly. This is it. So if I click on detect anomaly, this is my PowerShell script. So look at this code, look at all the scripts, all this line of code. So it has been written. So you don't need to, it's just a 24, a 23, a 24 line of code. So you don't need to be writing code by yourself. So this has been done, all you need to do is just copy and paste this code and do your work, just learn. So can you see that you have an hash key here and an endpoint? So it's asking for your key, it's asking for your endpoint. Remember that key and endpoint that I showed you here. Remember your key and endpoint. So remember, as I try to drag it down, see? So it's going to copy from here and then hide it there. Okay. So it's a code to call anomaly detector. This is the name of the code. So this has been commented out. You understand? Just to explain the code. So write host analyzing data. Where is the data? The data is data slash anomaly dot data.json is the JSON script data. Convert data, whatever this does really. And then to process the result and of course do a fantastic job for you. So but what do you need to do with this code? This is very simple. So let's follow our instruction. So now you can see it has been cycled so that say this is the next line of action. So what do we do? So don't worry too much about the details of the code. Of course, the important thing is that it needs your endpoint URL and either of the keys of your anomaly detector. So in any of the keys, remember you have two keys, just pick one and then the URL. So copy this from the key and endpoint page of your resources, which should still be at the top of the browser, paste them to the code editor, replacing this and this. So let's just do that as quick as possible. So I have my key. So I can copy here. I don't need to show key. Once I copy, you highlight here. Just you must paste it in between the inverted commas. Do Control V. This one will paste straight. Okay. So go to your endpoint, copy your endpoint there. Highlight between the endpoint between your inverted comma. Do Control V. Control V. As you can see, everything is within the inverted comma. Please make sure that the inverted commas are there highlighted. Okay. So you might now need to save your work. Where do you save? Well, some you might see save around there, but for me, this is how I save. I right click, I come to save. Okay. So just right click on the black interface and click on save. Okay. So you have saved this, so it's easier for you to close this. So you can close this. So don't forget this is the other PowerShell. This one's the program that you open. So you can come back to the instruction again. So we've done that. It says you may need to use the separator bars or adjust the screen, blah blah. We have done that already. Of course, so our key and code will look like this, which we have done. Okay, so at the right top of the editor pane, click on close, save, and then close the editor. Okay, so let's try and close the editor. So to close the editor, I will right click and I will click on let me right click and click on Qt. Just Qt. Okay, good. So that's for me. For you, my own might be close. So just take notes, okay? Or you can just pause the video and then take it as quick as possible. All right. So remember, anomaly detection is an artificial intelligence technique. It's an artificial intelligence technique. So it's used to determine whether values in a series are within expected parameter, expected value. So, for example, you are measuring a temperature of a body. Of course, the normal temperature of a body should not be more than 35, or it ranges between 34, 34.0, 34.2, 35 points, let's say 57. Of course. And if you measure somebody's body temperature and is running 40, automatically you know that person has an high fever. So there's no way. So imagine if you are measuring 100 people. By the time you get, maybe you got to number 85th person, the 85th person, and you discover, your temperature is 40 something, 40 point, oh, come on, please step aside. So that's an anomaly, okay? So that person cannot stay in the midst of people. For example, if you all remember the COVID time where they check you in anywhere you go, and once you have a high fever like this, they just push you aside. So you get what I'm trying to say. So that's exactly what this does, but in an automatic way. So the sample client application will use your anomaly services, data service, to analyze a file containing series of date and time. And don't forget, this is measuring your value against time, okay? And numeric value, like I said, a series of date and time against your numeric value. So the application should return results indicating at each point whether the numeric value is within the expected range. So we are expecting that for each value being analyzed, it should return an expected range. So if not, that means there's an issue. Of course, there's an anomaly somewhere. So that calls for further investigation. So in the PowerShell, what do you do now? In the PowerShell pin, enter the following command to run the code. Okay, so let's cd into our AI 900. Of course, go back to our PowerShell. So remember, if I run my code space dot, it should open this folder. Remember, so what that is trying to tell us is this. Okay, so let us assume I've opened my folder. I just want to open so that you can see what we are doing. There's nothing. Okay, so now what they are trying to say, let's cd into AI-900. So which one is AI-900? That folder. Remember that folder from here. I'm just trying to show you. See this folder AI-900, because we are inside the folder. So sorry for the break in transmission. Apologies for that short break in transmission. Okay, so like I was trying to let us know, I was trying to explain where our AI 900 folder is located, and that when you do your code space dots, we should have it. Yes, as you can see, we have it here. And then if you drop this down, we did analyze, detect anomaly, remember, and then we supplied this information the other time, right? Okay, so now to continue what we're trying to do, we want to cd into AI 900-900, of course. Let's do exit. CD into AI dash 900. Okay, so now as you can see, I'm inside the folder called AI 900. So let me go back to this. So I can just copy this and paste. So which means I want to go into this particular PowerShell that says detect anomaly. Okay, so let me right click and paste as plain text and press enter. As you can see, the analysis is ongoing and the analysis has been done. So as you can see, there was this particular analysis that returned true, while everyone returned false. Okay, so if you look at the data was analyzed, the text anomaly was analyzed, everything was false, 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 like kind of normal until we got here, which was saying true. Okay, so review the results, noting that the final column of the results is true or false. Of course, we have false generally to indicate if the value recorded at each data is considered as anomaly or not. Okay, so consider how we could use this information in real life situation. So what action could the application trigger if the value were a fridge temperature, for example, or a blood pressure on an anomaly detected? Okay, so with that, as you can see, we are here. It's easier for us to detect an anomaly that within this time on this day, there was a deviation of the data that was given, that was supplied, that is out of the range, of course. So, I mean, so with this, we have come to the end of the second section of the mode one. So where this helps you to do an hands-on, to have an hands-on. Okay, so kindly reach out to me if you have any issue, and then we'll continue from here in our next video. So thank you so much for your time.